All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Wadash, the one of the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, and peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out here, pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth. Real quick, excuse me, Salaki. Wanted to speak on a topic of that keeps coming up over and over, because as America goes on and degenerates more and more, you know, deep down in the spirits and in the hearts of these people, you know, especially the Israelites, the so-called Native Americans, so-called Latinos, so-called black people, you know, they desire, they have that zeal in their spirit. You know, the scriptures talk about having a zeal not according to knowledge. That's talking about Jake. That's talking about Jake. And here's the name of a new movement. Now, it's only so-called black people, you know, claiming this title, but it's gained a lot of steam in the past year. American Descendants of Slavery. American ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. And one of the things about it is, you know, Jake is basically getting fed up with not getting any tangibles, not getting any inclusion in, you know, the things that are going on, all these multi-million-dollar projects, these multi-billion-dollar projects. And so Jake, you know, is mainly Southern Kingdom, though, is forming up to try to create a group, try to create this group in order for them to, you know, have some sort of you know, political clout or you know, identifier for people to actually see them. All right, and when you use this name, though, you know, because we're not condemning anybody when we make these videos. We're just bringing light to subjects. You know, we're exposing things, you know, according to the scriptures. You know, you got many people who agree, and then you have many who don't agree. All right, just like on Twitter and these different platforms, which we're going to jump to that in a minute. You have, you know, millions of comments, you know, thousands of things that are trending, and then they become untrending. You know, people basically, Esau is tracking how people are tuning in to this world. All right, and the one thing the scriptures talks about is that we're not of this world. That statement couldn't be more true. You know, with my own observation. Hey, when brothers embrace the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, when brothers embrace who they truly are, and you lose your care for this world, that's when you really start to grow. That's when you really start to come up. And you know, this is Zechariah 13:8. I'm not gonna talk too long on it. It said what? It shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Most High is my power. Exactly. And when you watch the Israelite videos, of course, you know, that's like a nickname now. You got the 2/3, and you got to deal with this 2/3 nigga, because that's really a huge part of blocking a lot of progress in the society. All right, you got these different cases out. You got you know, this case with Byron Allen, where, you know, you got Trump's, he's fighting against Trump's lawyers, and, you know, he's a shield for CBS, and you know, they're trying to present this as a civil rights thing. All right, with civil rights, that's its own little subcategory. You got a thing where, you know, these different so-called leaders that coming up with even with names like this, American descendants of slavery. All right, because there are many, we always talk about it. The Northern Kingdom went in slavery the first, but then the Southern Kingdom, they got it the worst. All right, because the Southern Kingdom, basically, the tribe of Judah is the head tribe, so we got the worst punishment. I'm gonna just read through this article real quick. Hey, because this man basically, they're trying to get this election, and they're trying to keep their house, sold together, but it's not gonna happen. A house that be divided cannot stand. All right, and one of the things that's making the house divided is Jake, because even Jake amongst Jake is divided. It says you got a lot of people fighting against, who they are, which we are American descendants of slavery, but more specifically, we're the Israelites. All right, that's our nationality. Excuse me, Salaki. And brothers were just talking about this world is becoming so wicked and so vile. We can't even talk about it. We can't even bring out facts. We can't even discuss it. Letting you know that we don't have much longer on this particular captivity. All right, but even though the so-called Jews will talk about many of them, in Ethiopia, or they'll accept so-called Ethiopian Jews or whatever, but somehow when we said it's off. Nah, man, that's deception. It says in Hollywood, Harriet Tubman is played in a new movie by a black British woman, much to the annoyance of some black Americans. On the U.S. Census, an ultra-wealthy Nigerian immigrant and a struggling African American from the South are expected to check the same box. When many American universities tout their diversity numbers, black students who were born in the Bronx and in the Bahamas are counted as the same. A spirited debate is playing out in black communities across America over the degree to which identity ought to be defined by African heritage, or whether ancestral links to slavery are what should count most of all. Yeah, because that's another thing that this man did. That's another thing that he does. He has, he number one, and this just goes to show you how racist Esau is, even though they'll tell you they're not racist. They'll have these little scholarships and shit. If you come to Africa and you're a so-called Hamite, your descendants sold, the descendants of so-called African Americans to this country, you'll get the same scholarship as somebody who was sold, and their family had to go through Jim Crow, they had to go through redlining, they had to go through all these things. You're gonna get the same thing. You get the scholarship. If you came through, maybe your family didn't go through slavery, maybe they fled or something, and maybe they're in modern day Nigeria or something, like many families are. Even though those countries, they went through colonization, they went through hell too, because they're still sons of Jacob, just like us. But maybe you did that. A lot of them come here and they're very successful because they have that foundation. They have that family foundation. And in Nigeria, they still practice a lot of Eastern culture, culture that goes back to Hebrew customs. I'll put it like that. You get the same scholarship. Hey, I've seen pictures where people from India, they can come over here and say that they're black, and they'll get the same scholarship. And you got so-called Edomites, $5 Indians. You got that whole thing. That's what that was about. They saw that they saw that Native Americans were getting certain rights, they were getting certain things. They became Native American. Now they can say, look, my grandmother was Native American, and I've actually seen that. I've seen the Edomite come in, and I asked him, I said, what nationality are you? Oh, I'm Native American. Okay, who's Native American? My grandmother was Native American. Now, even if that's true, that doesn't make you an Israelite. That'll make you an Israelite, And that exactly is the plan of a lot of these wicked ass black women, and not just black women, but all the women on the sign. You know, Native American women, Latino women. They think that they can lay down with Esau, and they can get those benefits. They can get out of the curses. They can get away from who they are, and that everything will be just hunky dory. Well, that kind of shit is what happens. Esau will use you to get into that free money, the substance or whatever, more free stuff. Then they can say that they're black, and they're accepted, even though his forefathers, that child, his forefathers, they never went into slavery, they never went into suffering, which that's the main reason why you're getting that so-called scholarship in the first place. You're getting the money in the first place it's kind of like a reparations in a small sense. So there is some kind of bearing to the argument. All right, there is some bearing to the argument, and ultimately the reparations we seek is from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. We're not hung up on this man giving us anything, because we know he's the devil. All right, it says tensions from black Americans who descended from slavery and black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean are not new, but a group of online agitators is trying to turn those disagreements into a political movement. They want college, employers, and the federal government to prioritize black Americans whose ancestors toiled in bondage, and they argue that affirmative action policies originally designed to help the descendants of slavery in America have largely been used to benefit other groups, including immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean. Yeah, because what you have is, you got the tribe of Judah, which amongst itself is divided. A lot of those people in the Caribbean, some of them are from the tribe of Judah. But mostly, we know that Judah was brought here to America in slave ships, and what we know is so-called black Americans. That's who they would be on the sign. All right, because the tribes are kind of mixed up amongst each other, but for the most part, we know where they were sent to according to prophecy. And through the Spirit, that's interesting, because Jake knows that there's a difference, and there's kind of some tension, because certain other tribes, which that's basically what they're considering each other. Look, these other immigrant groups, these Caribbeans, these Jamaicans and stuff, these other groups, they're not being respectful, and that's basically what happened in the past in Israel. All right, you had certain conflict between tribes. All right, it might be the tribe of Gad and the tribe of Manasseh, or whatever, the two warrior tribes. They might get pissed off with Judah or whatever, and you can read those stories throughout Chronicles. So Jake, once again, we have that zeal for righteousness. We have that zeal, and we kind of understand that we're not necessarily exactly the same, even though we're all Israelites. It says that, I'm gonna wrap this up. The American descendants of slavery, they say, should have their own racial category on census forms and college applications, and not be lumped in with others with similar skin color but vastly different lived experiences. The group which called right. So there you go. I'm gonna wrap it up right there. There you go. All right, and this is Matthew 16, because this is once again, people will reject what we're saying. They'll reject our sign, but they know in their spirit that these people, all of our people around the world, though we're the same people, we're not exactly the same. We kind of have different subcultures. The so-called Native American culture, they're Israelites, but it's not the exact same as Cuban, so-called Cuban culture, which is not the exact same as, Puerto Rican, so-called Puerto Rican culture. Is not exactly the same. There are differences between the tribes, even though they're all Israelites. Now this is Matthew 6, and that's why it's important to know who you are according from the beginning. All right, because all these names and these arguments is one thing, but at the end of the day, Esau named everybody. So we're all in the same boat together. We're all American descendants of slavery. But once again, you have 2/3 of Israel, jumping back to that, which they're going to be cut off and die. All right, because the whole point of this is they're trying to identify who's going to vote for who and what, basically what angle they're going to come with. All right, and we know 2/3 of the nation of Israel is wicked. Voting is not going to do shit because these people vastly outnumber you. So you're never going to be able to vote, even amongst yourself, we're not going to be able to vote and come up with, the best answer. We're not going to be able to come on Twitter and try to trend something because 2/3 of our people, they're gonna be destroyed anyway. They're gonna be destroyed anyway because they would not be refined. They're gonna be cut off. They're gonna be cut off and die. All right, and that's what's going on basically, man, with our people worldwide. 2/3 of the nation of Israel is tearing shit up. They're moving backwards. Now you got brothers who slip, brothers who slip, but the elect, there's certain steps we know, because the Most High does have an elect, the 144,000 men, and then 1/3 of the nation of Israel. And we know that these men are going to be, it says it, they're going to will be refined. He said they will put through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined. So they're going to go through that refinement process with the Most High. And that's ultimately what he wants. All right, you got too many bullshitters in the nation. You have too many bullshitters, amongst so-called Latinos, so-called Black, so-called Native Americans, stopping forward progress in this country. And they're going to continue to do so until the Most High expels them and destroys them and judges this place. Like this filth right here. All right, this is the Salakia for the Edomite in the background, but this is the
incredible. It was fabulous. I'm like that Lady Gaga moment.
Yeah, this bitch actually wants to become a president, which I don't even know if she's an Israelite because she's so bugged out of her fucking mind. But this is the kind of people they want as your leader, your ruler. All right. Now she's reflecting on. I think it says, she attended a drag show, and she's there with a fucking dude who's dressed up like a bitch, and she's cool with that, and she's giving out compliments with that. This was great. This was wonderful, and that's not being. Twitter's not blocking that. YouTube is not blocking that. All right, nobody's blocking that those weirdos want to read to your children. Even though. They don't want children around grown men learning how to work. They don't want the school district teaching you how to learn a trade because that's something that they did away with. But they want that kind of filth. And that's once again, this man is the devil. He has to go. Matthew 16:4, wrapping it up. It said, "A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. But there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas, and he left and then departed." Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is that these people, we talk to them, first and foremost. And what do they say? Well, look, if the Lord wanted to talk to me, he wanted to tell me, he'll come down here and tell me himself. We've actually had people who believe that. And you really have people who believe that the Most High is going to come down and just deal with you one-on-one. The supreme power of the universe is going to deal with you one-on-one. Like this is a fucking Marvel comic strip. No. All right, you're supposed to listen to the prophets, the men who speak things before they happen. Just like you got the chip coming out. The chip. The men of the Lord, they've been talking about that since, going way back, 20 plus, over I want to say over 30 years ago, they've been talking about it. Now it's coming out. And you got the video proof online. All right, it's Deuteronomy 12:1. All right, because the Lord gave us certain statutes and judgments. And we're not honoring that. That's why we're in the fucked up predicament we're in, regardless if you want to acknowledge it or not. Deuteronomy 12:1. These are the statutes and judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land, which the Most High, power of thy fathers, giveth thee to possess it all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, under the high mountains, and upon the hills, and upon under every green tree. When you look that word, because that particular cadence is repeated all through the scriptures, how Israel is under every green tree. Let's see what that is. That's not it. Okay, Salaki. I guess I grabbed the wrong one. But it's not literal. It's figurative speech. It's figurative. And Salaki on that, I should have had the other one pulled up where it tells you every green tree is every philosophy. And that's what Twitter is, man. You can see millions of people with millions of philosophies. You know, they're under every green tree, which, you know, the other nations, they're lost. They've always been lost. But you got the Israelites on there, and that's what makes the whole shit pop. All right, we're the salt of the earth. But hey, call Allah Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Hey, just bringing out more information. You know, hey, YouTube ain't gonna last forever. Free speech under this man is not even gonna last forever. And we gotta make sure that we're disciplined and we're going on these subjects and these topics. You know, trying to build up, trying to seal the elect if it's not already done, and trying to stack our good works up, man, so we can receive that crown of life. Shalom.